Hey guys, I think it's only fitting that we close out this week at the surrender site that the Japanese surrendered in Zamboanga. Let's check it out.
Hey, Vern.
Hey!
So here's the deal. Instead of starting right away at the surrender site, I want to give you my 2 cents of what the war in my life had kind of been like, the impacts from the people around me, and just kind of my general overall. Most people don't watch the end of the videos. They'll maybe watch the first 2 minutes and that's it. So I kind of felt it was important to do this the first 2 minutes. Okay, so when I was growing up, the first thing that I remember is watching the television, and there was, I think, a war excerpt from the Vietnam War. There was helicopters coming in and they were pulling people out of Vietnam. And I asked my aunt, I'm like, what's that? And she goes, oh, never you mind, don't think about it. And so that was my first impression of any kind of a war going on and what that was about. And then I spent the summers at my grandparents' farm in Rossett, Minnesota. And it was a way of my dad to get rid of my sister and I for the summer. And I learned that my grandmother had managed a munitions depot in Fort Lewis, Washington. And at that time, she said it was the most money that anybody could make during the war is working at a munitions depot. So she managed one. Her and her brother went to Washington from Minnesota, and for all I know, any of the bombs that we had seen in the Catal Museum or any of the ammunition, that very well could have come out of Fort Lewis. And so that kind of made an impact in my head as I was going through this video making process. And I remember my grandfather on my mom's side, and Donovan Wagner, and he was of German descent. Both my grandfathers were of German descent, and both of them fought the Germans in World War II. And so I remember him watching these World War II reels, reliving every moment as if it was in vivid detail, and he would say, damn Krauts, damn Germans, damn Japs. I mean, he was still feeling that. He was so angry that he had to go over there and fight that war. And if you think about it, these were kids killing kids. And so that impacted him his whole life. He had post-traumatic stress syndrome. And he had seen a lot of really bad fighting in the Ardennes, and he was in the area where Hitler was found dead. He was in the 2nd Armored Division, Hell on Wheels. So he's seen a lot of really nasty fighting. So then kind of fast forward to now, when I went to the Catal Museum and I met Felix. And Felix was born, I believe, 6 years after the war. And he didn't really have any anger toward any side. When you listen to him talking about the different people, he'd basically seen them as human beings. And for me, I didn't grow up with that anger toward any people group or person. And so it kind of taught me that anger is taught into people. I don't think it's instinctive to just hate people to hate people. And I really thought that was refreshing when Felix had it so deep into his heart to want to return the soldiers from Japan, even though they inflicted a lot of damage and harm on the people. But in essence, they were just kids. They were kids taught and told to do what they had to do. Yeah, some took it to an extreme, but not all the people fighting were bad people. And that's for either side. So I started doing some photos, The Art of War, from photos from Felix's museum. And I started to think about that. I thought, you know, I'm going to make these as gritty and as ugly as I can, because there really isn't any beauty in war. It's not like we're going to take selfies. Ooh, look at me, I'm in a war. There really is none of that. But if we can take away from the learning and connect to the humanness of people, that we're all really the same, then hopefully we don't have to have another war. We don't have to have more videos of this talking about what was and hopefully what will never be. Thank you.
Hey, Vern.